And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren, and welcome to 8th Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm. Glad to have you with us on this rainy Sunday. It's been that way for weeks now. If you look at the local radar right now, we're saturated with these little bitty green sails everywhere, all in the area. It rains for 10 minutes and quits. Then 10 minutes later, it downpours for 20 minutes and quits for 2 hours. Then tomorrow, no rain all day. Then the next day, more pop-up showers. We just can't get our hay cut. Back in the spring, we couldn't cut on schedule because of drought. It was so dry. I was very hesitant to cut our hay for first cut because the growth was so bad from lack of rain. Then I was also afraid to cut because if I cut that grass, there was going to be no protection on those roots. And the hot sun and lack of rain was just going to bake the crowns of all that orchard and timothy and fescue and the grasses we have. And here comes Wayah and Oakley. And they're the topic kind of today's video. Hey, big girl, what you doing? Huh? What you doing? You been a-watching sheep? Huh? You been a-guarding these sheep? You're a good girl. Yeah, you are. You a good girl. And here comes pretty Oakley. Clay. Hey, pretty girl. Hey, pretty girl. My goodness. Yous are good girls. Yes, you are. All right. These are two fantastic guard dogs. This is Wayah, and she is a full-blood Great Pyrenees. And she is about 8 months old, going on 9 months old. And she weighs about 80 pounds now, and she's just going to get bigger and bigger. Our other livestock guardian dog, come here, Oakley. She is a shepherd lab mix. She's an accidental guard dog, and she has served this farm faithfully for 10 plus years. She's going on 12 years old, and you can see by the gray on her face. She's getting old, and as soon as we can get another pup on the farm and start training it, Oakley's going to be retiring. She's going to retire to a life of Riley the rest of her life, just sitting in the front of the barn guarding chickens, watching a chicken run. Of course, she can have life made easy. She has well deserved that. And Wayah is on her way to making an exceptional guard dog. Now, when the topic of guard dogs comes up, not all dogs make the cut. They just don't. We had one livestock guardian dog back when we had goats, an Anatolian Kangal cross, and that dog did not make the cut. Way too rough with the livestock. If she wanted to kill goats, she could have killed them in a matter of seconds. But her playfulness was so bad that she was way, way, way too rough with the goats. To the point that one time she ripped an ear off one. Just playing. If she wanted to hurt those goats, she could have hurt them and hurt them bad in a matter of seconds. I mean, killed them. So that was not her intent, but she just did not make it as a livestock guardian dog. She did not bond with the goats. She just wanted to roam and roam and roam. And one thing we do with all of our livestock guardian dogs, especially any that's going to be in the herd permanently their whole life, we have them spayed. The females. We prefer females, and I feel like the females just bond to the herd better. And that's a personal opinion. I'm sure that opinion would vary shepherd to shepherd. But that's what we have found we like. Females, and we have them spayed unless we have future plans for breeding, but the livestock guardian dogs, that is. But we don't, so we spay them and we put them in with our livestock as soon as they're big enough to move around in the pastures and be in with the sheep. We put them in with an experienced livestock dog, just like we did Oakley and Waya. And so far, she's 8 months old, going on 9 months. But so far, Waya has bonded well with the sheep, and she is doing a good job guarding them. Here she is at my leg. She is doing a really good job guarding them. She's vigilant and watches regularly what's going on. I have come out here unannounced at night and stood very quietly watching over the paddock they was in and flipped a flashlight on, and Waya was patrolling the perimeters. She is doing a really, really good job. Oakley has taught her well, and she's still learning. This dog's still in training. She's going to be learning until she's at least 2 or 3. So, and she'll only get better and better and better. But she's doing a really good job for now, and she is a full-blood Pyrenees. And Pyrenees is my favorite breed. Everybody has favorite breeds, a lot LGDs. Pyrenees has turned out to be our favorite by far. They're known as gentle giants. And Waya is very people friendly. She has never met a stranger. Now Oakley, on the other hand, is different. If a stranger comes around the field, Oakley will not let them in the pasture. However, Waya will let any person in the pasture. She is very people oriented and people friendly, but she's bonded to these sheep really, really well and watches them well. Other four-legged creatures around this farm, this dog will not let them in the pasture. If you're walking upright two-legged humanoid, she will let you in, but she will not let your pet dog come in with you. Will you, big girl, huh? Will you, big girl? She's a good one. All right, why do we have livestock guardian dogs? That's a good question. If you are a small farm and you've thought about adding small ruminants to your farm, whether it be sheep or goats, I would highly suggest, I would not even go buy my first goats or sheep until I had this. This is Security Central, right here. We live out in the country. We live where it's rural. We do have some neighbors around, but it's rural. We do not live near big cities or stuff of that nature. And because of that, we have an abundance of wildlife on our property and around our fields. And that's to be expected when you live in the country. However, there is one main predator, and the very main predator that we deal with, and probably most goat and sheep owners deal with, is not a wild animal. It's your neighbor's roaming dogs. Your neighbor's pet dog, Rover, that they put out a food dish on their porch and feed it every day, And while they're going to work all day long and at night when they're in bed, Rover is out roaming for miles and miles, chasing deer, chasing your goats, chasing your sheep, creating chaos. And the day and time we live, 90% of dog owners don't give a flip what their dog's doing when they're not home. They just don't. That's a sad fact. Now, do not take that wrong. There is very responsible dog owners. And our dogs stay in this pasture in the confines of the paddock they're in with the sheep. Could one of our dogs get out of this paddock and be up in the neighbor's yard or down at a mile away in the neighbor's field? Yes, it could. However, if I got a phone call from one of my neighbors and my neighbor said, "Hey, Darren, your dog's down here in my pasture with my cattle, can you come get it?" I would about crap my pants. I'd say, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I am on my way to get it." I would not purposely allow my dogs just to free roam. Now, a responsible dog owner, yes, a dog could get out occasionally from where it's supposed to be. And I totally get that. That is not an issue. The issue is the dog owners that just allow their dogs to roam neighborhoods, roam communities, chase deer all day and night long, chase livestock, chase sheep, chase goats for fun. That is a problem. And that is the number one problem for goat and sheep owners. I'm convinced of that. Number two problem would be, and I'm talking about predators. Number two problem would be bobcats and coyotes. Around our property here, we have an abundance of wildlife, like all these deer right here. We have an abundance of white-tailed deer. They're everywhere around here. And they can be somewhat of a headache because they tear our fences down a lot. Our hay grasses are so rich and so good, the deer won't in them. And they'll try to jump fences even though you've got, neck-high fences. They'll still try to jump them to get in those fields occasionally. And in doing so, when they jump, their hooves or whatever catch the fence and tangle it all up. And I've even seen them break strands. It's just a pain in the rear because we just about have an overpopulation of white-tailed deer around here. But I enjoy seeing the deer. I enjoy seeing the turkeys. However, with all that wildlife, the deer, the turkeys, the black bear occasionally around, and we've never had a problem with black bear around our sheep or goats. They have never bothered them. But the problem we have is, number one, I'm talking wildlife, not roaming domestic dogs. Number one is coyotes. We have an abundance of coyotes around here. I have put trail cameras out all around our properties. Number one, because I like to deer hunt and I like to keep tabs on the bucks that are around, growing antlers. Number two, I just like to see the deer. I like watching them. But the main reason we have these trail cameras out is to keep tabs on the predators. And how much are those predators going around our pastures looking for an opportunity to grab a sheep, to grab a goat, whatever we have in our pasture. And that happens regularly. Security Central right here at my feet. I've had videos of coyotes in the night that come up to our fence and all of a sudden tuck tail and run back into the woods within 5 seconds of being next to our fence. And another trail camera back in the field shows this big white fur ball and the brown one charging at the fence to run that coyote off. I'm convinced we would have had losses if it weren't for these dogs. I know some people that have goats or sheep and they put their sheep out in pasture during the day, and at night they call their sheep up toward their barn or goats and corral them in a small area or put them in a barn or put them in stalls at night to protect them from predators, because they just don't want, for some odd reason, don't want to deal with a dog or a donkey or a llama for protection. They want to bring those sheep or goats into a confined area at night for their protection from predators. Because if you have a predator problem, that's probably when you're going to have that problem, is at night. What do you think, big girl? Are the most of the predators out at night? I think so. Let's ask Waya when the predators are out. Waya, when's all the predators out? Are they out at night? Mm-hmm. They are, ain't they? Nighttime predators is an issue. That's when most predators hunts at night. And for that reason, a lot of people will bring them in at night. They'll call them in and confine them. Okay. Confining animals in the same spot night after night after night, whether it be a small round pen, containment pen, or in stalls, or inside of some kind of a structure, a building. Night after night of that is creating a parasite and disease cesspool. You will end up with foot rot, foot diseases, an overload of parasites in that area. And you're bringing those sheep or goats right back into that same contaminated soil over and over and over every night. That is just going to make your health issues explode. I would rather our sheep be out on pasture, and they stay out on pasture 24/7. We do provide run-in sheds for our sheep to get in torrential downpours and for some shade occasionally. They're rarely in there. They go in there when it starts downpouring, and that's about it. Other than that, they're out here in the pasture. They're spread out in the paddock, grazing, laying down, chewing their cud, and ever so often we're moving them to a fresh pasture, keep them off of any barber pole infestations during the summer months. During winter, barber pole worms is usually not a problem, but now during summer, that problem with barber pole worms goes up expediently, and So we manage by moving rotational fences and moving the sheep on a regular basis, keeping them out. We never call in our sheep at night to put them in a confined area. That's what this big white fur ball right here is for, and the brown one laying right over here behind the camera. That's what they're here for. We can leave our sheep out on pasture 24/7. And they're not confined to an area where the soil is just filthy and contaminated. They're laying in their own manure and walking in their own manure just continually like they would be in a confined space. And even though you might think, well, I go into my barn area every morning and I rake up all the manure, you know, and put it in a manure spreader, a wheelbarrow, and I take it out and spread it on the field or whatever you do with it. That does not eliminate the foot diseases and things and the worms that are in that soil. It's still going to be in that soil. You need to give those sheep fresh ground to be on regularly. And in order to do that, we have to have some kind of protection for these sheep out here at night. Right here. Come here, big girl. Our protection is right here. And I've seen people talk about their livestock guardian dogs, how they don't pet them, they don't want them to be people friendly. I say that's hogwash. We've raised livestock guardian dogs for some time and had them in with goats and sheep. And having a dog that's not friendly to you and not friendly to your family or your friends, I say that's hogwash. I've heard people say, don't pet your livestock guardian dogs. Don't get them to be attached to you. If you've raised them with these sheep, they're going to be attached to these sheep. And you're just the shepherd that comes along every day. And I want to be friendly with me too. So this line of thought that I've heard before, you know, don't handle your livestock guardian dogs, don't pet them, don't show them no attention. I say that's hogwash. You can see Waya is very people-oriented. She loves petting and all that. That ain't stopped her one bit from doing her job with these sheep. She's doing a fantastic job. Oh, you're a good girl. Oh, you're a good girl. Oh, you're a good girl. Yeah, you are. Hear her breathing. She's getting old. She's having a hard time breathing. She's getting arthritis, but boy, has she been a good one. Sheep right behind us. You can see the sheep's not afraid of these dogs. They respect the dogs, but they're not afraid of them. They know these dogs are here for their protection. So if you ever start thinking about adding a sheep flock to your farm or some goats or something like that, you need to consider this right here first. Whether it be a livestock guardian dog, a breed of whatever you're choosing is, whether it be Pyrenees, Maraminas, Anatolians, whatever that is, or whether it be a donkey or a pair of donkeys or a pair of llamas, I'd always suggest adding a pair of livestock guardian animals, not just one, a pair. They always work better in a pair. To protect your livestock, I think before I ever brought livestock to the farm, I would have a livestock guardian puppy here getting used to me and my family. Then I would add the sheep and put the puppy in with the sheep and keep a close eye on that puppy or puppies until they reach a certain age, because some dogs just do not make the cut. They're too rough. They don't bond to the sheep or goats for whatever reason, and you have to keep a close eye on these livestock guardian animals to make sure it's going to be a fit for what you're looking for. You can't just buy one and throw it in with your sheep and expect nothing to happen. If you don't have an experienced livestock guardian animal to put it in with, and you're starting out with just 2 puppies, you as the shepherd, whether it be sheep or goats, you need to be on your toes monitoring what's going on with your livestock guardian animal and your livestock. The very first line of defense against predators on this farm is our perimeter fences. This one is a 8-strand high tensile electric fence. Not every single strand is hot, but I think 6 out of 8 of them are. It's 9 strands. There's 3 that are not hot close to the bottom, and every other one is not hot. Then the top ones are all hot. These fences are more to keep predators out than livestock in, even though it works both ways. This is a smaller pasture. It contains our test plot and a pasture on the other side of it, small. And we power it with this. That is the only Parmac product that I would recommend. I've had bad experiences with other Parmac energizers. These have been phenomenal. However, they're for small to medium-sized pastures. Some of our other fences, as perimeter fences, as you can see, is a combination of 12 gauge smooth electric wire and barbed wire. The barbed wire was already here when we built these fences, and if I was doing it from scratch, I would not include barbed wire. I just use smooth wire. But this barbed wire was in really good shape already here, so we just went between 5 strands of barbed wire with 4 strands of electric every gap. And we offset the electric where it sticks out further than the barbed wire, so they hit the electric first. The strands are so close, nothing can get through them without getting zapped, seriously zapped. And we power our larger pastures with a system we made. We built it out of components we bought. If you have not seen the video on the build of this system, I'll include it in a clickable video link at the end of this video. We use this one to power our larger pastures. It's a lot more powerful. If those Parmac chargers ever just quit on us, I will replace them with a system like this. This is fantastic. Let's take a look at it. 50-watt solar panel. This is all solar powered. As you can see, the leads come out and go right down to a set of switches where we can cut the fence on and off without having to open the lid to this box. But the lid's easy to open and close. Let's take a look. All the components are inside this box we built with a tin roof, a sloped roof, and everything in there stays out of the weather. Simple carabiner and a latch. And here is all of our components. A rich solar charge controller. It is an MPPT 40 amp solar charger controller. We have the 50-watt solar panel mounted on a Rotational frame that runs all into here. We have a 12-volt marine grade battery in a battery box, and we have our Power Wizard PW 5000 XD. It's a lot more powerful than that Parmac. Puts out a lot more power. And this system keeps it running 24/7, completely off solar power. Every day when we come to feed in the evening or whatever, I raise the lid on this box and check the actual energizer, the Power Wizard energizer here. It has a series of lights that go up and down with each pulse. You can look at those lights if they're not going up but 1 or 2. I think there's a series of 5 lights. And if it's only going up 1 or 2, that means you got a short somewhere. It's a quick, easy way to check the status of your fence. If everything's operating as it should, it'll be bouncing up to at least 3 or 4. If you're only getting 2 or 1, and depending on how many lights go up, depends on how many strands and how far your fence goes. But on our fence, I found that 4 is optimal. Everything's running great. The soil's wet enough to conduct electricity back to the ground rods really good. And we have 3 6-foot ground rods in, plus one of our dead wires is tied in to the ground. So we have plenty of good ground. But if I look in here and it's only hitting 1 or 2 lights, I know that I've got a short somewhere to start walking the fence, looking and listening to where it's shortening out. And right now, it's bouncing 4 lights. That fence is perfect. I don't even have to get out my fence tester to test the volts on it. I can look right here and tell. Very simple. And I have found this fence charging system right here, this DIY fence charging system, is better than anything else that I've ever bought in a complete unit. Doing it myself. That simple. A really, really good perimeter fence is your #1 line of defense against predators. It keeps the predators out and your livestock in. #1 is keeping predators out. You'd think putting up a fence to keep your animals in is #1. That's actually in my book, #2. #1's keeping the predators out. #2 is keeping your livestock in, and your livestock guardian dogs in with your livestock to protect them in the event somehow or another a predator digs under that fence, gets in there somehow. It's going to be met with 2 very vicious, violent dogs that are going to lay down their life if they have to protect their flock of sheep. Wow, me and my wife are sound asleep in bed at night. Hey, Oakley. Hey, pretty girl. Oakley's getting old. She's reaching retirement age. She's 11, going on 12 years old. And hopefully by her 12th birthday, she'll be retiring. At least semi-retired until a pup is trained for at least 6 months till we can trust Waya to finish the training. And then we will retire Oakley to laying in a cool dog house with plenty of water and food. And if she needs to run something off from the chicken runs, she can get out of her doghouse and literally walk 10 yards and bark at it and run them off and go right back and lay back down. She has been a good one. And we're going to do everything we can to make her end of life as comfortable as possible. However many years that might be, she's earned it. St. Croix and Katahdins. We're going to find out in the next year which one we like better. The very best advice I could give to a fledgling sheep or goat owner, and we're fairly new to sheep, but we owned goats for years and years. And fencing and livestock guardian dogs are a lot the same. However, you need a much better fencing for goats. If your perimeter fencing will hold goats, sheep are no problem. I mean, no problem, no comparison there. Sheep are so much easier to keep in as long as you've got grass and water and protection for them. They're going nowhere. Goats, on the other hand, is a different story. However, that's not the subject to this video. The video is, if you are a fledgling sheep or goat owner, small ruminant, the first thing you need to consider and you need to have in place is good perimeter fencing. When your perimeter fencing is in place and done, the next thing you need to consider is security central. Livestock guardian animal, whether it be dogs or a pair of donkeys or a llama even maybe. We prefer dogs. No hoof trimming, we can trim their toenails quick and fast, and they require, other than that, very little maintenance, a little petting occasionally, and don't buy into the thing that some popular sheep folks say that you need to put your dog in with the sheep and never touch it. Don't pet it. That's hogwash in my opinion. So you be your own judge. In my opinion, that's hogwash. But you need to have some kind of security in there with those animals at night or even during the day from roaming neighborhood dogs. And those dogs could come as far as 3 or 4 miles, 5 miles away, roaming, chasing deer, chasing livestock. That's the number one problem. Second one is if you live out in the country, predators and wildlife, coyotes, foxes, bobcats. If you live in areas where there's populations of mountain lions, bears, even out west in Yellowstone area, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, grizzlies. You need to have something in place to protect your livestock. And I'm telling you, when a predator comes around our field, those Pyrenees, and I found them to be that way, every one we've had. And Oakley, and she's a accidental livestock guardian dog. She's the abnormal one. They're fearless when it comes to running something off out of this pasture or away from the pasture. That's what we're looking for. And that is ultra important. You can see through the clips out of our trail cameras in this video how many coyotes and bobcats and stuff we have around this farm on a regular basis. And I'm convinced, nothing could convince me otherwise, after months and months and months of all this trail camera footage of all the predators we have around, we would have lost every one of our sheep had it not been for those livestock guardian dogs. They're that important. And a good perimeter fence. That's important too. Thanks for being with us. I hope if you're considering venturing into goats or sheep, and let me tell you about goats and sheep. One man's opinion that watches the markets. Goats and sheep right now, especially sheep, are very profitable. Just go to your livestock market in your state and look at the weekly sales of beef per pound, goats per pound, sheep per pound, hogs per pound. Man, I'm telling you, sheep right now is a good business to be in. And if you're looking into venturing into that and you come from a cattle farming world, you need to look into some kind of livestock guardian animal. And I would highly recommend livestock guardian dogs, as in Pyrenees, Anatolian, Marimena, whatever breed that you choose. Just choose a livestock guardian breed to start with. And let me warn you, if you buy 5 puppies, probably 2 of those are not going to make the cut. For whatever reason, they're just not going to bond to your livestock. They're going to want to wander. They're going to want to play rough with your livestock. They're going to harm your livestock in some way. Whatever might happen, they're just not going to be a fit, and you've got to be willing to deal with that. Send it to a place where there's no livestock, a family farm where they only have chickens in an enclosure or something, whatever. But if you're going to put it in with your livestock, the first 2 years of that puppy's life in with those sheep, you better keep a really close eye on it and to see that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, if Waya started attacking one of our lambs, Oakley would intervene. She'd stop it. I've seen her do it, not with Waya, but another Pyrenees we had named Raven that we had with goats. Oakley would growl and get between that Pyrenees and that lamb or that goat kid to stop whatever's going on. You need a dog like that in with puppies. And if you're starting out with 2 puppies, you're going to have to be that in between. And I realize you might not be able to stay around it 24/7, but the first 6 months or so, introduce that puppy slowly in when you're there to see how it's going to interact with the flock. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps you. If you're a fledgling sheep or goat farmer and you're looking into getting into it, just remember Fences, fences, fences. And then remember, livestock guardian animals, livestock guardian animals, livestock guardian animals. And don't bring them into the same barn night after night after night into that contaminated soil, and your hoof issues, your barber pole worm infestations with proper rotational grazing, and all that stuff will go way down in your problems with that. Most folks that bring them into a barn setting every single night end up with problems. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it, and I pray God blesses you and your family, and I pray y'all have a fantastic day. It's starting to rain again. We're going to get inside.